Y'all know what it is. It's the usual suspect 650-50 draw. Buy your tickets now for your chance at winning half the pot. Cash App, $, usual 50-50. Tickets are on sale for $10 for one, $20 for 3 tickets, and $50 for 10 tickets. Put your desired amount, name or alias, as well as your email address, and your tickets will be set. We announce the winning ticket numbers every other Friday on Supreme Beats Boxing Talk Bullshitting on the Beltway, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Remaining proceeds will go directly to the LDBC meet and greet in Las Vegas. Shout out to the LDBC, and remember,
it's a usual suspect day.
Y'all know what it is. It's the Find the Boxer game. Purchase a box for a chance at winning $500. One of 54 boxes has a missing boxer inside. Purchase your box or boxes by Cash Apping, $, usual 50-50. Include your box number, name, and email address. Your box number will be confirmed and sent directly to your email. Each box is $20, with a 1 in 54 chance of winning. Remaining proceeds will go directly to the LDBC meet and greet in Las Vegas. Shout out to the LDBC, and remember,
it's a usual suspect day.
Okay, we got the brother Tay Jones in here with us. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I'm sorry, I had my mic muted. I thought that, yeah. So we got this boxing conversation going this evening, man. Forgive me. I'm actually talking and my doggone mic was muted. I thought it was yours muted. It was anyway, welcome
No, we
to
good.
the channel, brother. We're doing this Stormybman live. It's a number 41 in the series. We're calling this one a state of the game discussion with the special guest Tay Jones, bringing your professional and perspective in on a conversation where there's so much going on in the sport. We got the bouts, we got things that are being talked about, and all other types of business going down. So we're just gonna have a discussion. And I didn't know if you had forgot, because I saw you was doing your little thing, but because I was still trying to put some stuff together here. You know, I got my second channel up and running. So
Yeah. I was trying to get my computer. My computer started running slow for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on with my computer, so I had to switch over to my phone real quick. But
okay,
yeah, man, I was on live because I wanted to just I didn't want to go past Wednesday and talk about the previous fights, because we have another set of great fighters good fighters coming up. I ain't gonna say great just yet, but we got another good card coming up this week. Speaking specifically about the top ranked card, not to get it confused.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got you in there on the second time on the backstage. Do you want me to leave it in there like that, or boot it out, or what?
I think we might be. I'm gonna try the computer for a minute because I had to reboot it, so I think it's back working good.
Okay, I'll just leave it right there.
Okay,
it's just like you back. But yeah, man, I caught a little bit of what you were saying toward the end there when I chimed in. And you know what's interesting?
What's that?
When I looked and opened my tablet, it had your, you were up on my feed. But sometimes I have to look for you. Ironically, today I opened the tablet and went to my feed, and boom, you were right there, the first person on. That's when
honestly, man, a lot of people have been telling me that they starting to see me back on there, and I actually think that's because I had to get back in people's algorithm from uploading videos. Because I took that break, which was well needed on my behalf, man. It was well needed because, like right now, like I was telling you, man, boxing is a soap opera right now. You know what I mean?
Oh, man,
and they can just I was ready to talk about this past weekend's fights with you. Continue on conversation from what we did on Sunday.
Yeah.
And now we got some more foolishness. So it's like, man, and I'm not the type of person who want to keep talking about the foolishness in boxing. That type of stuff turned me off,
But it always seems to position itself front and center, doesn't it? It's like,
absolutely.
No matter how we try to navigate and head toward something specific, boom, it pops right in.
Right.
But before we start addressing that stuff, just to kind of pick up from where you were talking as you were ending your live, I got a chance to listen to some great conversation from Breadman, and kind of a post-fight interview that he did with, I guess that young man, Sean Zattel.
Yeah.
And
I had text Sean on Twitter. I said, bro, you mind if I use that? Because I don't, I know people follow different people and stuff like that, but for us, like my following, I know people probably really don't follow him like that.
Right.
But man, that was very, very detrimental what Breadman was saying right there.
Dude, that was an awesome revealing by Breadman, because and I can totally understand his perspective. It's a lot, when in talking boxing, it's a lot similar to myself. and very analytical in some senses and everything. And even when he began to speak on not just his work this past weekend with Kai and Caleb, and that's funny, Kai and Caleb,
Right.
working with those two. But then when he gave some enlightening thoughts about Bud taking on Canelo and stuff like that, the man is very intelligent. And I got this thought as I was listening to him, and it may be even something going down between he having his work with Caleb. You know, sometimes we analytical minds can kind of get dismissed and pushed to the side a little bit.
Right.
Because most people don't want to take the time to go in depth. However, the more that we do it, the more beneficial it can be for who we work with, the fighters, because we're given something always that's just not there for everybody. And if we're working with someone in particular, what we give to them in that aspect is fruitful for their development only. It's not the other guy or somebody else in the gym. It's specific, you know. And so when he was talking about working with Kai and how he spoke to him during the match, and he was like, hey, we to heck if we win this tonight or whatever, but what you need to do is present yourself in this manner, and over, because even in doing that, there's success. You know what I mean? And you got to grab and latch on to something to be successful. That's why I was a little perturbed by the brothers that were calling the fight, and I had explained that to you when they were saying about giving in and throw the towel in and stuff like that. And I was like, but the young man is not displaying anything of defeat.
Right.
He's still in the thick of things, still competitive, you know,
fighting. Right.
And that's kind of, and under those auspices, it can be hard for another guy. You know, you can get a guy and you can try to be begging and pleading, come on, man, don't give up. And the guy's like, man, I ain't got it. You know what I'm saying? It's like it can turn around. And I think that Caleb had an experience in there where if he go off somewhere by himself and do some soul searching, I bet you he can come up with, I should have listened more to Steven, you know, should have listened to that man.
Can I put some on that though?
Sure.
Also in that interview, he also mentioned how it's very hard for a trainer to get established fighters to do what the new coach or the coach at hand wants them to do, because they're already established. You know, so and when he said that, I said, that's why Kyron was receptive to what he was saying and kept fighting. Say, like you just said, he did say in the corner, like, listen, I don't care if you win the fight, but we got to do this right here. And not that he didn't say that to Caleb, but he know what type of fighter he dealing with. He know that he groomed Kyron Davis. He know that Caleb was already rich and established when he got to him. He knows that. So the response or the response from the two fighters are totally different. So I see exactly what you're saying right there.
Yeah. And on the flip side, if you look at Caleb's last fight against McCombie, it was Breadman who assisted him in winning that fight, because that fight started out very difficult for Caleb early on. He never got a chance to, you know, start off with what they probably game plan of him sticking, moving, doing things. McCombie came out very physical, imposing, even threw him down on the canvas at one point early in the fight. And those kind of things can rattle a guy or take a guy out of his game plan and things of that nature. And what Breadman was able to do was remind him that basically and I know exactly what he meant, but I'm gonna dumb it down a little bit and make it easier and quick. He basically reminded Caleb that this guy is a brute. You're an intellect. Show your value, your talent, your ability by being smarter. You got to take it to him. Uh-oh. You still there? You fell off. You there? Oh.
Yeah, man. This phone, I pressed the wrong button trying to delete a call.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me. How did I get you?
I'm back.
Yeah, but you're not on the screen. I was trying to get you back on the screen.
Oh, okay.
What did I do?
Yeah, it's it's that. Oh.
Hold on. Go out and come right back in so I can put you back up there.
Okay.
Okay, you there now? Oh, okay. Let's see. Trying to wait for him to come back with his other. Here we go.
There we go.
There we go.
Man,
yeah, when I thought I was pulling you up, that was your other screen that we talked about me keeping you in the backdrop. Yeah.
Right. No problem.
Yeah, but what I was saying, he had to show his talent, his value and whatnot. And he reminded him to take the fight to Cumbie because Cumbie is usually used to being on the offensive, being the bully, being the guy to do it. So you take it to him, get in his grill, take the fight to him because you're more polished, you're more refined. And he did do that. And he turned it into something that McCombie hadn't trained or prepared for. And you could see, even as he was having a success against him offensively, you could see McCombie coming apart mentally because he wasn't dealing with this well, you know, and that's how he prevailed. He basically ended up bullying the bully, but it was done in a crafty sense, not just slugging with the guy, but fighting smart and doing things. And that was because Breadman was able to coach him through that. He reminded him of the talent, the ability that he has. You have the ability to do this. Now it's time to pull it out of your toolbox. Right. And he did that, and it was an excellent performance. Now, in this fight from this past weekend, I think what happened is his assessment of Resendez was more prevalent and dominant in his own mind than whatever Breadman may have prepared and told him, you know, what to expect, because he did fight like he didn't think Resendez should be there. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I understand that they had done some work in the gym together before, but remember, being in the gym, even if you're dominant over somebody in the gym, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, because a person could be holding back. They could be allowing you to do things because they're working on something. It could be a number of equations and scenarios as to why the action can go like it is. Right. But what I noticed was that as the fight got tighter, he didn't make an adjustment. And that is the thing. The other guy adjusted to him, but he didn't make an adjustment. And then I've often said this, it's the guy who adjusts to the adjustment usually begins to come out on top. And there was only one adjustment made in the fight, and the fight went that way for the rest of the fight. Right. And see, Breadman understands that as well. And it's something, like I said, Caleb, when he gets off by himself, in seclusion and he could think about things, he'll be like, you know what? I should have listened to my coach and trainer a little bit more. And then because the fight was still available for him to pull it out.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't think he's washed up or anything like that. But also, this is the other aspect of that, of what I talk about, Tay and chat. When the judges give a decision, they need to give the proper decision. Somebody had Caleb winning that fight. He didn't win that fight. He didn't.
No.
But in the past, what we've seen is a guy get a decision. Like, say if two of those judges give him the split, even though it should have been for Resendez unanimously, if he gets the decision, he'll go away from this fight and not focus much on what he may have done wrong or whatever.
Right.
But by a decision like this, it's not going to sit well with him. If he's the right type of guy, excuse me, I keep rubbing my nose because my allergies are acting up.
It's that summertime stuff.
Yeah, it just started about an hour ago. But the thing is, he'll look at things. If he's the right type of fighter and have the right type of mentality, it's not going to sit well with him. He's got to go back. He's got to come back around and do better. You know what I mean?
No,
when guys end up with those decisions, they don't think that way.
Right.
They think like, okay, I made it through that. You know, I don't have to fight a guy like that no more, whatever. It's the wrong way to look at things. That's why I say when a man earns a decision, they should give it to him. I don't care if he's the house fighter, he was the favorite, he's the promoter's guy. If he didn't win the fight, don't give it to him.
Right.
Because what will be inspired from that is what's truly at the essence of the fighter. If he wants to come back and prove, you know, I had a bad night and I'm going to show y'all and I'm going to show myself. That's what you want.
Right.
You know,
I do. Yeah, sure.
Just superficially thinking, oh, I got past that, but I'm good. No, you're not.
Yeah. But you know what though, man? I believe Caleb is that type of guy. I think he will go back, you know, probably fight again after the birth of his son. And that's gonna give him a lot to think about, you know, give him a lot to think about. But he can easily beat that guy, man. He can easily beat. But now, like I was just saying not too long ago, that's the first time that I've seen him look subpar. In the other fight, I haven't seen Caleb look subpar. You know, so that was my first time seeing him subpar. And again, you know, every night is not a great night in the office.
Right.
You know, and it's a lot that he can pull from that fight right there and definitely enhance and do better. So I don't really put too much emphasis on that fight for him, you know, because I there's some things that he can do better, and I'm positive that he will. Yeah.
And the same could be said for Kai and his fight. You know, I believe had he been able to get into a rhythm of letting his hands go a little bit more, that could have made a huge difference for him, because it was obvious that what was his opponent's name? Hernandez. It was obvious that he was scoring, he was landing, but Kai never looked like he was in danger of being knocked out to me. He was just being outpointed and outscored. Right. And Hernandez showed me something that did nobody talk about in that fight. Bro, he slaps a lot with his shots.
He does. I didn't get a chance to say that tonight. I didn't get a chance. He does. I didn't get a chance to say that.
You know, they land and they can make sounds and stuff, but you ain't hurting nobody when you slap them. You got to turn your punches over, right? And you got to put leverage and torque into them. And that's something that he wasn't doing, which is another reason why Kai was still in the fight to a degree, because of those aspects.
Right.
And he wasn't polished enough to be able to try to set a knockout up, you know, where you working toward building toward a knockout. He was just trying stuff, I'm gonna hit him with this. I'm gonna hit him with that. I'm gonna do this, do that. You know, and it was like really not. It. You know what I'm trying to say? It wasn't like all of that, but it just he was winning.
Yeah, and like I say, I believe I was also saying that I believe he hit a wall that fight too. He hit that wall, that old shit wall. Like this guy ain't going nowhere.
And that does more.
He hit that wall.
Tay, that does more to the fighter than a punch. You know what I mean? Because it's all up here. And once you start getting messed with up here, dude, it don't matter what your coach is yelling in your ear. It don't matter what your family and friends in the audience are screaming.
Right.
When you build up something in here on your own, it's like a flame. You know, Customato used to describe it as such. It's like a fire that once it starts blazing, everything burning down. So again, that was the kind of thing. And one of the things that I was saying that Kai could have done was start going to his body.
Right.
Go to his body. Because guys who think that they could get the other guy out of there and you done proved that you could take what he's got, there's a mental fatigue that kicks in with what we're talking about too. So if you start banging on his body and he started to feel like he blowing a little bit, now you know you got him in a trick bag.
Oh, absolutely.
I loved in the film Ali where Will Smith was playing Muhammad Ali, and that brother Charles, what was his name? He was playing George Foreman.
Okay. Yeah.
When it got to the middle part of the fight with Foreman, and Ali was talking, you know, to himself about Foreman, and he was like, "Look at you, that second wind is out there, and you don't even know it's out there for you." He was like, breathing all hard, eyes swole up. You ain't never been in this kind of position before. You know, it was like Ali talking to him psychologically, mentally. Right. And that's the thing that I'm talking about here. It's like you get a guy in that position, and even though he may feel exasperated and tired, all of a sudden now the coach and trainer's trying to tell him stuff, and he ain't listening. Because all he thinking about now is like, I just can't wait to get back to the locker room. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
But yeah, you go ahead. What you know, your thoughts, whatever. I know I'm talking a lot.
No. I was just because like I said before, I was actually thinking the same thing that you was thinking. You know, especially when you brought that moment up right there. And, you know, like I said before, when he was, you know, like you said, where he was talking to him and things of that nature in his ear, playing those mind games to him. Of course, I mean, hey, you never been in that predicament before. You never know what you're going to do and how you're going to react once you're in that predicament. You know, so, yeah, I'm totally in agreement right there as well.
Yeah. And I saw an article earlier today where I think the WBO, they've mandated that Navarrete fight be changed to a no contest.
Yeah, man.
And he gonna have to have a rematch with dude that he fought. What's his name? Cruz?
I can't remember who the dude is, but yeah, he's gonna have to do a rematch, but it shouldn't even be a no contest.
Charlie Suarez. It should be a loss. It should be a loss.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they stopped it because of the cut.
Right.
And but even because, you know, if you go to boxing scene, that's where I saw the article. It pops right up. But the thing is, the cut, it was bleeding bad. Navarrete was wiping at it. You could see he was clearly impeded by it, but they stopped the fight on the cut. It was beyond the number of rounds that, you know, you can be a draw or no contest or whatever. So in the aftermath, they're saying because the replay didn't work on the scene, but it did work for the TV people because they were showing it, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
So that all of that was a bunch of malarkey too, because we got a chance to see that man punched him. It opened up the cut, and it's very unfair. Again, given the type of decision that wasn't earned, and
Yeah, yeah,
I don't like that.
yeah. But you know how these promotion companies are, man.
Yeah,
When
I
you're
know.
that guy, man, they're gonna try to do everything up under the table, make sure you remain intact of everything that you probably didn't deserve or deserve. So it don't surprise me that happened. It was blatantly in front of our face. And I do believe that it was caused by a cut. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing at that time when they were saying that it was caused by a headbutt or something like that. I believe they were
Right.
saying. I was like,
They tried to
where?
say that at first. Yeah.
Come on, man. But no, that was unjustifiable of what happened. And politics, man. Politics.
Yeah.
It's political, and it's blatantly right in front of your eyes. I mean, you see what happened in the Caleb Plant fight. The whole world thought that he lost, and one person gave him the fight. Caleb thought he was winning the fight, but of course he's going to say that he's a fighter, right?
Right.
But on the opposite end over here on Top Rank, where we visibly seen it was caused by a punch, and you got the commentators again dictating what or trying to manipulate what a person eyes see or don't see. So it's the politics, and then, of course, once you're that guy, they're gonna do everything in their power to keep you in good hands and stuff like that. But that's also killing the sport too.
Yeah. That's just like, remember with Roy Jones and Montel Griffin, right? In
Right.
their fight, when he kind of went down and Roy just barely tapped him or whatever, and Jim Lampley and Larry Merchant was like, "Oh, he hit him while he was down," and it was them like kept pressing the envelope, like, "Oh, he should be disqualified," and this and that, right? And it was like when that ruling came down, it was, something that, I mean, we've seen worse scenarios than that, like. Like Terry Norris had a real bad discipline problem. He would hit you when you down and stuff. Terry
That's
didn't.
that's my favorite fighter, man.
He would hit the
That's
guy.
hey.
What's that dude's name that he had the two fights with, and they both ended with him hitting the guy after the bell or while his head was turned to something. That Latin guy. What was his name?
I can't think it. I know
name,
I know he's talking about because I watched the fight, but I just can't think his name on the tip of my tongue. I gotta go. I
Oh
gotta
my goodness,
look it up.
man!
But I watched that fight. Matter of fact, I actually just watched it like 4 nights ago too.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. But listen. That's my favorite fighter, man.
Terry Norris was a heck of a fighter, and you know what I think really made him exciting? His vulnerabilities.
What do you mean?
Because, like, in a manner like Tommy Hearns, he didn't have a granite chin, so if you tagged him, you could get him in trouble.
Okay.
But that didn't mean he would fight any less. You know what I'm saying? He was still a guy who would turn it up on you and fight to the end. That's when I say the vulnerabilities, that means like the sense of what might not be the highest grade of him or whatever, but it makes him, it kind of balances things out, because as an offensive fighter, he was a son of a gun, man. Fast hands, good feet, movement.
Luis Santana.
There we go. Yeah,
Yeah.
Santana. And that dude, he should have won an Oscar, man. You remember he was laying on he was laying on the canvas, man, and they were trying to like act like they were waking him up, and he was like he was so knocked out cold. But you could see, even though his eyelids were closed, he was blinking under his eyes.
Man,
That
listen.
dude was a trip, man.
Should have definitely won him an Oscar right there, man. Terrible. But yeah, man, that's one of my favorite fighters, man. Oh man, that's one of my favorite fighters, man. I love Terry Norris, dog. I love Terry, and of course, Mike McCollum who just passed too.
Yeah,
So man,
yeah.
I watched those old school jokers, man. I tell you the truth, Stormy, man. I know this is a little off subject, but I don't really watch none of the new age boxing.
And that's okay. You know
Yeah.
why? Because we have a history of boxing that is so enriching, which would be an asset to the guys of today if they studied it. They don't. This is how you know there's a detachment there, just like there's a detachment and generation gap between men in society. It's like,
Right.
when they used to say OG, that used to be a term of endearment and affection. When they say it today, that's not necessarily a term of endearment or affection, which is why I tell people, please don't call me OG. I don't like that because it doesn't have the same meaning that it once did, And that's just that one little acronym. But at the same time, when someone would kick game to you, young man, get your shit together, do this, do that. They want to see. Now it's like, oh, he got to learn for himself. It's like, well, what is that?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Really? But yeah,
I get it.
Watching the other eras, and like I say, you could just go back one generation, and boxing was so much. I was talking about Mike McCallum Sunday morning when I had found out that we had lost him, and I made a remark about, I was like, he didn't get a chance to hop into the Four Kings generation because he was just coming in at the door of them going out. And I said he and Michael Nunn were similar because Michael Nunn was coming in at that time too.
Right.
But McCallum did get his opportunities, and the fights with Watson and just Sambu Columbe and those guys, he was in some damn good fights. And one fight in particular that I mentioned that was great was he and James Toney's first fight when they were fighting on pay-per-view, and they had the Marvelous One sitting ringside as a color analyst calling the fight. And one thing he said during that fight was, he was like, the middleweights are in good shape with these two guys. They were so much skill and everything. It was almost like they were fighting mirror images of one another. Not that their styles were the same, but the old school flavor of their fight game.
Yeah, man. Oh man, yeah. Stormy, I love, like I said, my trainer, he loved the old school style too. So I'm traditionally taught the old school style. So I'm always looking at the old school fights, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I don't want to take the conversation with somewhere else, but it's just funny to me because I see everybody fight the same now.
Yeah.
And so when people say style make fights, I'm like, these styles are the same. What are you talking about?
And that's how you know there's not a lot of good teaching going on.
Exactly.
Because if you had a lot of good teaching, you wouldn't see that.
Right.
You would be seeing other things. Even Breadman made a comment about Caleb. It was either Kai or Caleb in that interview with Sean. He said something about that shoulder roll. He's like, I don't teach that. He's like, that's not something that, that I bring to the table, because he has a certain feeling about that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I got the same. It's like, dude, do you know when you talk about a fighter being able to defend? Now, I heard an interview Roy gave recently about defense, and he was talking about Shakur Stevenson. And he said that Shakur's defense, people think that it's with his hands, but it's with his feet.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And Roy was saying that's the thing but this is the thing that I'll say to counter that to Roy. Now, Roy is a multiple-time world champion and well respected in the sport. I respect, but I will say this. When the footwork slows down, what happens then?
Yeah.
And it's going to happen.
It's gonna happen. Yeah, for sure.
So the defense should never be predicated on footwork only. Never, ever, ever.
Right.
Which is why the old school trainers and teachers teach you how to get out of the way of a punch.
Absolutely.
Slip, bob, weave.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Get under a shot, step to the side, turn your head with a shot. All of these different techniques, parry, catch, shoot, counter. Those things are all, and guess what? You could do them right there in the center of the ring. And if you get good at it, the guy can't hit you with a hand.
He can't hit you at all. Absolutely.
Tell me, am I telling the truth? That's it.
Listen, you sing it to the choir because I know.
See?
I know.
Yeah. But you know, and that's not to slam what Roy was saying. Because some guys are just athletically gifted. Like one of the guys that I saw, and it was amazing to watch him when he was young and really good, was Michael Nunn. I thought Michael Nunn was like a middleweight southpaw version of Ali. He could move out of the way of shots with his head. He could move with his feet. His hands were fast. And as a combination of all this athleticism and everything, when he wanted to open up on a guy, he could basically beat them into submission because his punches coming so fast and for so many directions, guys would just cover up and be like, damn, you know, stop. You know, it's like Nunn was really something, man. And then when he had that fight with Columbia and he showed that he can punch too, that made a lot of people be like, you know what? I don't think I want to mess with Michael Nunn right now.
So I've always heard about him. And I didn't get a chance to really study him like that. So I don't know much about Michael Nunn. Yeah, I don't know much about him.
And you know what? He was one thing that kind of like people didn't want to give him credit for, but it was always there. Michael Nunn was tough as nails. But because he had a pretty style, it's like you don't look at that. But when you saw him in there with James Toney, and I'm telling you, Angelo Dundee was telling them, you're winning the fight easy, kids. Stop languishing on the inside. Step around them, pop with the jab. Keep them honest, this and that.
Right.
And Nunn wanted to go inside and fight Tony on the inside because he had this, you know, but not just that. It's like he was challenging himself because it's like, it's easy. You know what I mean? I'm beating him easy. And then Tony landed those shots and got him out. It was like, it happened right after Angelo was telling him to get out of the inside. It was like the very next round, I think the 10th or 11th round that Tony stopped him in. But James Toney said this about Michael Nunn. He was like, I ain't never want to fight him again. He was like, he said that Nunn was just, he was like too much, man.
Right.
Tony, I won't say he got lucky, but he made it easier for Tony to be successful, but by not listening to Angelo. But Tony said he would never want to fight Michael Nunn again. And that says a lot because he always wanted to fight Roy a second time.
Right.
Know? But he didn't never want to fight Michael Nunn a second time.
You got a lot of fighters who don't want to fight a second time.
You know, that's it, man. But yeah, let's now talk about, you know, we were talking about, we're going to get into some things of today. These guys of today, and we were just alluding to the fact that they don't study the history of the sport. They don't study fighters who were real legends. One of the things that I hate to hear people throw around is the word great. Oh yeah, he's a great fighter and this and that. Dude, there are not a lot of great fighters of today amongst these guys. They're not.
Yeah, it's a lot of good fighters, but that's why you heard me change what I said earlier. I said, excuse me, it's a great card. It's a great card, but some good fighters. They're not great just yet. When I said it earlier about the Keyshawn Davis card, yeah.
But you could see, like, some guys have potential. You know, they have an upside that if given the right fights, they could kind of maneuver their way into a place of considerable or consideration, because it's the small things that you would like to see of them. Like, I would like to see him fight this against this style. I would like to see how he would handle this circumstance, things like that. And we have so many who haven't been put to that type of test. It's very frustrating, you know. Like Shakur, we know that he can box. We know that he's got good footwork and things like that. But do we know if Shakur can take a punch? You know what I mean? Because he hasn't been hit. And that doesn't mean I want to see him get knocked out, because you got people, when you speak like this, they want to misread and misinterpret. I'm being very clear with what I say, because I remember prior to him fighting the likes of Nakatia and was it Valdez? Might have been Valdez, but he fought Valdez after Nakatia, right? I was talking about how I would like to see him face some people who could pressure him and make him deal with the pressure, not just follow him around, but cut the ring off and make him adjust to having to do something else. He hasn't had a lot of that. Just like when you look at Tank has fast hands. He has a nice punch. His legs seem to be okay, but we haven't seen him have to do things outside of fighting guys who didn't have the same type of athleticism as he got. He fought a lot of the guys that were flat-footed and things like that. It's like, okay, we seen what you done with that. You're pretty good at that, but let's see something a little different. You know what I mean? And see guys your own size, because that's another thing. Fighting guys that are smaller than you. You're a small guy yourself, but we see you fighting a lot of smaller guys. You know, and eager to fight other smaller guys. You know, like I know he was talking about he can't wait. He'll love to fight Inoue and stuff. I'm like, dude, Inoue is like way down there, man. What are you talking about? You got some guys that are right there where you are, you know? Like, you know what would have been a good fight? Tank and Regis. That would be a good fight.
They should have fought too.
Yeah, that would be a good fight. Well, it would have been, you know, when they should have fought, but that kind of thing. But your thoughts on some of these guys and being contemporaries and whatnot?
With Shakur, I'm gonna switch to the computer. I don't know if you saw
go
that.
ahead. Yeah, okay. You want me to add you to the stage?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I'll remove this one.
Okay.
Okay, let's see here. I've added you, but I don't see you on the screen though. Let's see here. There we go. There we go. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine. Yeah.
So with Shakur, I just feel as if I'm gonna just step off the screen for a minute, just to let you know.
Yeah, okay.
So with Shakur, I just feel as if like when you were speaking about his feet, right? When you were speaking about his feet, I just feel he has, again, some of the best defense at creating and keeping distance from point A to point B. I do believe that. I really do. No matter who it is. But when you say, can he take a punch? That's one thing I still have question for. He was heavily criticized against Jeremiah Nakatalia, who can punch. We saw what happened, I think it was like either the first or second round. Once he felt that power, you know?
Yeah.
So he really, even though he used his feet, but he used it. He used it even much more. So it's gonna be interesting when he fights Zepeda. I think Zepeda, of course, he's bigger than Oscar Valdez. He alluded to when he fought Oscar Valdez that he took a body shot, didn't show it, but
I remember him saying, "Yep."
And then now you got Zepeda, who's gonna throw a hell of a lot of punches. I think the best thing that Tevin Farmer could have done was get with my coach to use some of the old school tactics to help him in that fight. Now, do Shakur have some of that up his sleeves? I don't know, because we haven't had to see him use that before. But I think he's going to have a little oomph and a little bit more of this fight with Zepeda, because he's going to throw a lot of punches. It's just what it is.
It's going to be smothering, yeah.
He's going to get hit with some of those punches. He's definitely going to get hit. I don't know what size ring they're gonna have. I think that'll play a effect on some of the things in that fight. But it's still question what happens when he does get hit early and often. What happens?
Right.
Get on this bike. He fought a smart fight with De Los Santos. We all know De Los Santos can punch. Right, but I'm not really too big on De Los Santos, simply for the fact that he's glorified for having to win over Rayo with a week notice.
Yeah,
and Rayo was getting ready for an orthodox fighter for 8 weeks.
And let me add to what you're saying about him. For a guy who is supposed to be a noted puncher and reputed puncher, to have something like that as a talent and ability, he hasn't shown a desire to take risks.
Yeah.
Because a guy who punches has to take risks because people know he can punch and they're going to be trying to avoid and get out of the way.
Right.
So you got to sometimes sacrifice a little bit of something to get yourself into the danger zone to get what you're trying to do off. And that's something that he didn't even try against Shakur. And that was the person to try it against. Now he's getting ready to go in here with what's his name?
Keyshawn Davis. Keyshawn Davis.
Keyshawn, yeah. And it's going to be different because Keyshawn will take risks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's the thing that's a lot different than he and Shakur. But I believe that the risk that Keyshawn will take will be calculated risks. In other words, like he's been in the gym around Bud a lot and everything. And I believe what he'll do is he'll assess where the strength of De Los Santos is and either operate inside of that, if that's possible, because it could be mid-range or close in. Or if it's at the extension, if it's at the extension of punches where his power is, oh, he's going to be in trouble because Keyshawn can fight on the inside. You know what I mean? So it's like when you look at it in that regard, it's really a technical breakdown because punchers do have places where their shots are most dangerous. And
that's true.
And the smart fighters learn how to gauge that early, which is why if you are a puncher, you're not supposed to let nobody know what that is too early in the fight. Save something, especially like if your big power is at the end of your punches, try to get close. Try to get close to the guy to make him think, oh, he's trying to get close to me because he want to hit me. So I'm gonna stay at the end. Then he's at the end where you want him to be, and bam, you never.
So let me ask you this though. So you don't think that like because of the hand issues? Because I was at that fight when Shakur fought De Los Santos. I was at that fight. You don't think that Shakur tried to stay away because of that? Because of the hand issue?
No, I don't think he tried to stay away because of the hand issues. I think he tried to stay away from something that you alluded to in this conversation earlier. You said that he got hit with something early, and he was like, "Oh, I don't think I want no more of that." And he kind of like, you know, and like I said, De Los Santos never took any risks.
Yeah, he should. Okay,
because this is the way. If I were in De Los Santos' corner, this is what I would tell him. I would say, this is the Shakur fight, not the aftermath, but going while it's happening, in between rounds, whatever. I would be telling him, look here, this guy ain't noted for blazing nobody.
Right.
Nobody. Set your defense, step to his ass, and lay some leather on him.
Right.
Cut the ring off, close the distance, and let's just see how tough he is. But
and that was the fight to do it.
That exactly.
Got you.
That was the fight to do it.
Got you. Got you.
Know? And the thing is, that's not a thing you would tell them for every fight. But the climate, like you said, that was the fight to do it. That's what you would want to do to put him in a position to be successful. There were moments where he was standing back, sticking his tongue out of Shakur sticking his tongue out of him, and they waving their gloves like this. It's like, what the fuck y'all doing? Jumping rope?
Oh, you want to know something? You want to know something?
Yeah.
I called my wife in the third round. I said, yo, I'm coming back tonight. Go ahead and book my flight for the night. By the 6th round, I was leaving T-Mobile Arena. By the 12th round, I was in the air on my way back to Atlanta.
Dude, I can't blame you. I can't blame you because it's like, you know, and that's the thing. But I'm going to tell you something. Ain't nobody going to have to tell Williams Zepeda.
Oh, no.
Tell him.
But you know what, though? You know what? Do you think that he's too flat-footed for Shakur, though?
No.
Okay.
No. You know why? And I'm gonna tell you this. This is why. Because if he throw a punch and he miss, he ain't worried about how ugly he look.
Mm-hmm. He gonna keep going for kill. Gotcha.
You know who else is like that? Navarrete. He don't care how goofy he look or whatever. Something he threw is like, man, what the hell was he thinking when he threw that shot? He that don't in his mind. He just trying to connect. That's how you gotta be.
I can't stand his style, man.
That's how you gotta be to be successful. Now, this is the other part about that. Check this out. Man, you getting my tidbits before we get to the fight, but that's okay. If Zepeda recognizes that he can't hurt him, Shakur in trouble.
Yeah, because he's gonna press forward even more.
Yep. Now I'm gonna tell you something. Farmer hurt him.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Farmer hurt him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But that's why after 2 fights with Farmer, they're like, he ain't no Farmer. And what I mean by that, he might be more talented offensively or something like that than Farmer, maybe, but he don't have Farmer's fighting spirit. Farmer got a fighting spirit that, again, what I was talking about, Kayron a moment ago, it's like some guys have this and some guys don't. Right. When has Shakur got like 23 fights now or something like that? I don't know his exact.
You sure? I think he got less than that. Let me see.
It may be less. I don't know. I don't have it pulled up.
I thought it was like right at 18 or 19. Maybe let me see. Let me see. You're right, 23-0. You're right.
Okay.
I thought it was like 21-19.
So he ain't never been in a dog fight yet. Never.
Yeah, he hasn't.
Now I know our dearly departed brother Nazim used to say swim without getting wet.
Right.
But there is a point in time in any fighter's career, if you're in there long enough, you're gonna have to take a little something and come back with something. That don't mean you have to fight the whole fight like that or nothing like that, you know. And it happens. It becomes a defining moment of where you recognize I do have something, or I don't think I want to take that, you know. And these are decisions that fighters make. I remember when Hector Camacho was doing his thing. Camacho was really dangerous because he could punch, he was a southpaw, and he was fast.
Right.
And when he decided to open up on you like a Meldrick Taylor would do or whatever, Camacho was getting people out there, man. He was like doing a really good job. But that fight against Edwards and Rosario, when Rosario connected that one shot and had his legs buckled and everything, and Camacho started running around the ring with his gloves up like this and holding and stuff. After that fight, Camacho you never saw the Camacho who you saw before that fight with Rosario. He made a decision for life that he would never get engaged that much where he let a guy nail him a shot like Rosario did in their fight. And it even because up to that point, I wanted to see him fight Chavez when he was that Camacho.
Right.
The Camacho who eventually ended up facing Chavez, he was the safety first Camacho. He would never. I would have wanted to see the old Camacho because he was really blazing and he was trying to hurt people in there. But when he got hurt, it changed his ideology and that can happen to a fighter because it's like he's like, oh shit, they could get me, you know. And that's what happened with Camacho. That light switch went off and he was never that same aggressive guy anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So not knowing, and Shakur might be smart. Maybe he got that shot already and we never knew about it. You know what I'm saying? And that's why he fight like he do. Roy says that
we showed him waiting to see.
Yeah, Roy says the only problem is his feet are good that it gets him out of the way, but he gets sometimes too far out of the way.
He can't throw them back
and do stuff back, you know.
Right. I believe that's true. That's very true. For sure. That's very true. When you know, as a coach, as a trainer, you get too far, you don't want to ever get too far out of the way because you can't throw anything. And if you do get too far out of the way and throw something, you're going to get caught.
That's why learning how to use the angles is so important. But
very
guess what? Just like when you play football, and I know you got football in your family.
Right.
You know, if you could play two positions on like an offensive position and a defensive position, it helps you learn the game better.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So in boxing, it's the same principle. You got to learn angles. If you learn angles, then you have no problem cutting the ring off.
Right.
Because you understand angles. One of the things I used to love to watch about Sweet Pea Whitaker is Sweet Pea could keep that fight in the center of the ring if he wanted to. And he had this thing that he could do by turning his opponents. He could jab you, pop, pop, and step around you. But that back leg, swinging it about, you know, it's a real subtle movement. If you watch George Foreman and Ron Lyle, George had that same movement. He didn't box like Sweet Pea, but he knew how to swing that back leg behind him and change your angle on the guy. Right. Or he'll feint like he gonna throw a right hand and slip under you and come out on the other side. These are boxing techniques that you don't see these guys using today, bro.
They don't use them at all, man.
They don't use them.
Don't use it at all.
And you know what I'm talking about, right? That move, like you could feint, like you gonna throw a shot and you can slip under a guy and come out on, and he be looking for you like.
And you'd be spinning around because he's spinning you on the back leg. Absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's the little subtleties of technique like that can put a person over to put them in a different class.
Right.
Out of the way, not running around, you know, but being able to, you know. So yeah, those kind of things, man. And the avoiding competition, like what we're seeing today, the news that came down the pipeline today.
Man, I was so upset when I seen that Stormy. That's why when you called me, it was like, did you still want to do it? I was like, man, I was just like, man, I was I didn't really, man, because it's like I get tired of the drama and the soap opera stuff, man.
Yes.
I get tired of it's like it's something new every day. Like, you know how you know the women, the older women, at least I know my mom still do, watch the stories on like, you know, WGN 46, and you know the stories that come on in the afternoon, they come on every day at 12 o'clock. You watch the stories. You know, it's just like watching soap opera mess every single day.
Mm-hmm.
One day you saying racial things, the next day you cussing out Turkey, the next day you gonna sign the fight, the next day you pulling out the fight, the next day, or you were just talking, or the next day you just want to see what's going. It's like, come on, man. It gets too much, you know. And then you got Shakur and Keyshawn. They taking stabs at each other. It's like, man, listen. Social media killing it, man. It killing boxing. For me, it's not making it fun.
Yeah.
If we got something up, let's just big up that fight. But then when we start bigging them, oh, you was wrong. Then he come and troll, you was wrong. Well, I couldn't been wrong because they said they would fight.
Yeah.
So it's a lot that goes into it, and I was just like, man, you know what? I did tell Stormy I was gonna do it, so I'm gonna do it. But you know what? I didn't really want to because it's a soap opera.
Yeah, and well, the great thing about it is this too. You know me, I can have a conversation on a sport without even mentioning that.
Right.
Like we've already kind of gone back in time and everything, which is again, hopefully, even having that type of conversation, it'll inspire someone who's watching. Let me go see the fight he's talking about, you know, and then boom, got you, you know,
sure.
Because we've mentioned Terry Norris, we've mentioned Mike McCallum,
and I said that's my
Tony, Michael Nunn, you know, dude, I just mentioned Camacho and Rosario. It's like, you know, there's a wellspring of, you know, did you get a chance to watch that video that I sent you?
Yes, I did. I did.
That kid, okay, he's young. I give him that. But did you hear him make the analogy of like Chavez and Meldrick Taylor for Devin and Ryan? I was like,
yeah, I did.
Dude, that's a reach and a half. You know, and the reason I sent that to you, Tay, because not only because we've been in communication frequently lately, but it's the very thing of like what we're talking about.
Right.
That young man, he's got a lot to learn.
Right.
And going the way he is, hey, it's nice to have a little confidence, but to repeat something that the late great Emmanuel Stewart said once, one left hook on the chin to change all of that.
Absolutely. Man, I couldn't believe what I was hearing from him.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. And I was like, who is this kid and what is he talking about?
He was saying a lot of incorrect stuff, man. And it was too much for me to just say, hey, man, listen to this. So I just sent the interview to you. And I just wanted to let you see if you got a chance to watch it yourself, so we could talk about that type of thing. Not necessarily him in specific, but because that's this generation of today. If you're not well schooled and learned in the sport, you could have such a superficial look and grasp of everything that, man, you're just missing so much.
Missing out on a lot.
Yeah.
They don't understand a lot. This generation, they don't understand
and
a lot.
For the life of me, for these people who have deducted or surmised that Devin Haney took a beating against Ryan Garcia, that's misconstrued as well, because just because he hit the canvas multiple times doesn't mean that he took a beating.
Right.
In fact, I believe for almost all the rounds that he didn't get dropped, he won.
Yes. Yes,
and then
you're absolutely right about
when he
that.
got dropped, he got up and kept fighting.
As he
Even when
should.
it appeared when he was in some trouble, he had the wherewithal to tie up and do different things that it's like some guys fall to pieces.
Right.
And then the assessment that was made about his comeback fight against Ramirez to imply that he was shell shocked.
Hey, you know what? Not to cut you off, Stormy. I think after you and I had talked, I talked to Bill.
Okay.
And because I was asking him about, because I saw he posted that Teofimo pulled out. And then I said, you know what, let me just call the source and make sure my story correct before I make this video. And you know, he explained why, and then you know, we was talking about the Ramirez fight. I said, you know what, Bill? A lot of people criticize y'all for that Ramirez fight, but if you ask somebody like me who fights at 140, who know what Ramirez do, that was actually brilliant. Because what you did was, if you don't know, Ramirez is at the 140-pound division. He was always one of the best at taking away the jab.
Right.
What is Devin Haney known for? Jab.
Yeah.
And not only that, they used the escape door to go the opposite way, of which Ramirez always goes to his right. So I'm gonna use the escape door, but I'm gonna round it just a little bit and not go straight out, but I'm gonna round it a little bit. Then that way I'm gonna take away your left foot, because Ramirez has a great left foot. He took those two things out of the equation. Everything else is on Ramirez to go and try to catch up. If he can't catch up,
adjust.
Oh,
make the adjustment. Yeah,
that's his fault. So I told Bill straight up, I said, man, listen, I don't know what those people talking about, but that was brilliant.
And not only that, the old trainers would say, win this one, look good next time. In other words, you're not doing it for the people to see you show your heart and everything. You've already done that. You've shown your heart. Now you're going to show your, what's the word I'm looking for? You're going to show your expertise, or, you know, your ability to be more of a complete, diverse fighter. See, they trained for the Devin that went to war with Ryan.
Exactly. That's what they did do.
They trained for that. They trained, oh, when he be there, we're going to do this. And just like when Ryan did this, we're going to do that, you know. And they not knowing that all Devin did was show another wrinkle in his game. In fact, for some people that said that this was like, oh, he was running or whatever, Devin boxed like that. People don't watch, but if you go back early in his career, he was boxing like that.
Yep, absolutely. And that's why I say people don't watch.
He stepped up his opposition, he always seemed to show a new wrinkle here and there. Just like when he fought Lomachenko, it was different than how he fought Regis.
Right.
You know
and that's why I tell people, like, man, a lot of y'all just don't watch boxing, man. You say
when
you do.
Kambosos, both fights, he fought different. He fought him one way the first fight, and he fought him a different way in the second fight. He didn't fight the same kind of fight.
Sure did. Absolutely. And that's why I say, man, you know, some people just be talking, man, and they just want to keep up with the go along, get along, and not really indulge on what's really going on and how it should look, or why they fought that way. What did Ramirez do best to make him fight that way? They don't want to do the research. They just, oh, you running and this. Come on, man. At some point, you have to have some type of integrity to go look for yourself. Whether you think it was boring or not, at least go evaluate and see why the game plan was the way it was. Just don't assume because, oh, he got cracked upside the head a couple times in the last fight, or he's shell shocked. That may not even be the case, because honestly, I believe that he's going to step to Teofimo Lopez.
This is the funny thing too. During the course of the fight with Ramirez made a couple of advancements in there and got nailed.
Yes.
And he said, what the, and you could see he was more hesitant to try that because there was something waiting for him. And see, Devin in that fight didn't get greedy.
Right.
But I believe, and he didn't have to do this. You know how they say, you're a plumber. You gotta do that. You need a pipe wrench, and you need maybe your you might need your Allen wrench or whatever. But it's like, or whatever, and it's like, okay, I don't need these other tools, but I got my toolbox right here. Devin went into that toolbox against Ramirez, and because the man couldn't make the proper adjustments on his own, he stayed the course. Now, I do believe had Ramirez presented something else, he would have gone to something else.
Right.
Because he's versatile like that.
Right.
But lastly, this is the part that all those critics and people who wanted to say about his performance and everything got to learn something about the sport of boxing. If you didn't see from the fight what you wanted to see, it had nothing to do with Devin. It had everything to do with Ramirez.
Absolutely.
Because he was so one-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
That it was like, if you say like you could just beat somebody with one hand, and so you beat him with that one hand. He can't stop me, so I'm gonna keep beating him with this one hand.
I don't have to go do nothing else, because
exactly
the first thing.
And if they can't do nothing about it, why change?
I'm not. There's no reason to.
And throw the right. I don't need to. I said that when I watched Khalil Cole when he won against Galagos last Friday.
Right.
Because, in the first fight, and I didn't know, he had later revealed he had been very sick and weak going into that first fight. So,
right.
We know how that ended. But in that rematch, man, Tay, that boy was bombing with that left jab. He was punishing Gallegos. Gallegos' face was damaged by the end of the first round.
Damn.
His face was all...
I still ain't got a chance to watch it yet.
You haven't watched it. His face was battered by the end of the first round. And he was pummeling him so well with the left, I was begging him to throw the right. I was like, follow it up with the right, follow it up. But man, he had the dude's head snapping back like this, bro.
And there wasn't no need to throw the right hand.
It wasn't. He was beating the crap. And next thing you know, dude's corner was like, no mas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But again, that's what we're talking about. When you're doing something so successful and that you don't need to change it up. It's for what?
Right.
Michael Nunn was beating James Toney and he went to change it up and got knocked out.
Right.
But he was winning easy. I think they had him ahead. Maybe he got stopped in the 11th, I think he was ahead maybe 8 rounds to something, 2 or 3 or something like that. He was really beating the crap out of James Toney, boxing the hell out of him.
Right.
And he let Toney hit him with that shot and it knocked him out. But nobody saw that coming. But that he went on the inside, which is what Angelo told him not to do. And he got knocked out. Dang. Those things happen in boxing, and it's so funny because when you talk about it from that era and going back, the coaches and trainers are not going to tell you nothing wrong.
Right.
But these guys of today, you have to be careful because, like you said,
Say, got to be careful on who you train with.
Yeah, because like you said a little while ago, a lot of these guys, they fight the same.
They fight the same, man.
And what is this thing they got now that they think because they sparred somebody, they don't need to fight them? Because, the sparring sessions are like wars in the gym and stuff like that. It's like these guys, where's the learning process at?
A lot of it don't mean a lot when it comes to sparring. A lot of it don't mean too much, because a person you can gauge where you at. You know, you can gauge where you're at. But if you're not consistently fighting and we see growth, and you can't see growth from the time you spar somebody to, you know, to where you at, a couple fights past that, then obviously there's a problem, you know. But I don't think it should be too much emphasis on sparring.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we like, you know, to hear about the gym wars and stuff? Absolutely. You know, we were like, oh yeah. But it can only carry so much validity going to the fight, i.e. we just saw with Caleb Plant and Resendez, you know. So it's only so much validity that we can take out of there, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you about a fighter coming out of the UK that they are so high strung on right now. This doggone Moses Atuma. Yeah. Your thoughts about this kid?
It won't be long before he be picking up the phone. It won't be long. It won't be long, man. It won't be long. You know, moving too fast, you know. But like I said, I wish everybody well. But man,
that's great, man. You know why? Because I feel the same way, Tay. I feel the same way. Shower is out there in the chat. I told Shower, I was like, Shower, nope, that dude,
Yeah.
But it's okay for them to have high hopes for somebody, but really,
who they should be having the hopes on right now is Daniel Dubois.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I've been singing that song on my channel since last September when he put Anthony Joshua in a coffin. I've been saying it. And the thing about it is, he's a good kid. He comes from a good family. And dude, he's not the most articulate guy out there, but hey, that's not what he's known for. He's known to be a fighter, and he's a professional fighter. That's a pretty darn good one, and a perfect example of someone who's had a couple of setbacks and has come back from his setbacks.
They got him at number 1 in the WBO. All right. Who in the top 5, just top 5 heavyweights, do he beat right now?
Dude, he can't beat Ajit Kabiel.
Right.
And that's a guy that they keeping away from the titles. I understand how the politics of boxing are working, man. That dude, they keeping him away from the titles. I don't know if it's because he's German. I don't know what, but Tay, I'll be watching this kind of stuff. It's 2 fighters that they be trying to not let become heavyweight champion of the world. Do you know who those 2 fighters are? And I'm talking about like as far as country. An African or a Russian. They do not want those guys to become heavyweight champion of the world.
Why you say that?
I think it's an ethnic thing, bro. I do believe that. Look at all of the opportunities that some of the Africans have had. And they've set up roadblocks for them and everything to keep them from getting. You remember Ika Biabuchi?
Yeah.
The Nigerian Nightmare.
Right.
How do you knock Klitschko down 25 times and still lose a decision?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You got Effie Ajaba, who's been around, but they ain't put him in a position for a title shot. But this kid can leapfrog over Effie Ajaba? Seriously? And I'm not trying to say Effie Ajaba should win the heavyweight title. I'm saying that he can't get closer to getting a title shot, but this kid who's 20 years old.
See, I think the thing with Effie, he went down the WBA route, and that's when you see him. Was it Helenius? Yeah, Helenius. No, not Helenius. It was Sanchez.
Yeah.
It was Sanchez. You know, when he lost that, and there was somebody else he lost to. If I'm not mistaken. But it was either WBA route, WBC, but
he had that close fight against Vianello.
Who else? He lost to I know he lost to Sanchez. That was on the Wilder 3. It was somebody else he lost to, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't he? Who else did he lose to, or does he have one loss?
Yeah, I think it's just one loss. It was Sanchez. I think so. I don't have the box record in front of me or whatever to look at it right now, but
right. So he only lost to Sanchez. So when he was doing that, I think he was coming up the WBC route. He was trying to go WBC route then. I'm not sure what route he's going to now, but it looked like the WBA because I know Martin Bacoli is up there in the WBA as well.
Yeah.
Has he fought anybody in the WBO top 3 rankings, top 5 rankings?
You talking about the FA?
Yeah.
I don't think so. And he's another fighter that's not busy enough too. His fights are too long and far.
Yeah, and then you got to think though. After that Sanchez law, he had those build-up fights. He fought Stephen Shaw, Vianello. Yeah. You know, so this was really like one of the first fights. You know, back in that contendership with those guys, especially with a guy like Martin Bacoli.
Yeah, and I believe his trouble with Bacoli was more of Bacoli's weight than anything, because Bacoli was 300 plus pounds, bro.
It's a big boy, man.
That's too damn big, man. I don't think fighters should be fighting over 300 pounds. I don't think they should be fighting over 260 pounds, really, because if you want to say a fighter's 260, that's big boned. But in shape has always been.
I hadn't heard that word in a minute. I'm tickled by that. I haven't heard that word in a minute.
I know I'm an old dude, man. I say these old words sometimes. But you know what? It's just funny, man, because a lot of these guys are freaking fat, man. They're fat. Yeah. They're out of shape.
Yeah.
You know? And Joseph Parker talking that mess about, oh, we bulked up, we done put on some muscle. Dude, you put on some fat. Huh?
Yeah.
Because they all
Joseph Parker.
Yeah. Man, all that excess on him, bro. You know, coming in at 260 something, almost 270 pounds. That's freaking ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
Lennox Lewis was 6'5", and always he came along in the 230s, and then when Emmanuel got him, he had him about 240, 245, but he wasn't over 250.
Right.
He stayed right within that framework that allowed him to be strong and powerful enough and lean enough to be able to move and everything like that. I mean, these guys getting over that, man, it's just ridiculous. And got the nerve to be over that and not half as skilled as someone like a Lennox or whatever, bro.
Yeah.
That's disgraceful.
Heavyweight something else, man. They don't have to lose the weight, so you know they feel like as long as they in shape, they okay.
But they not.
Right.
That's why, you know what? Tell me, when's the last time you saw a classic heavyweight battle?
Like what you mean for it's classic?
Because this is how I'm gonna prove to you about that they're not in shape. Like when you think back, let's think back to the past era. When you saw fights like Ray Mercer and Lennox, or Lennox and Holyfield, and you know
Burt Cooper and Holyfield.
Oh, Burt Cooper and Ray Mercer.
Hey man, now we talking.
Burt Cooper and Michael Moorer.
Yeah.
Man,
yeah.
Listen, this is what I'm talking about. And those guys were in shape.
Yeah.
They were in shape.
Yeah.
The only one in that era that was really good, that wasn't really in shape, but he still was in shape, was George Foreman.
Right.
because George being 260 pounds, I think one of his highest weights was 267. I think he was that against Holyfield.
Big
something
George,
like that.
yeah.
But George, if you looked at him, he didn't look like an out of shape. He had a little bit of a stomach, but his arms, he had toned them up and everything.
Yep.
George was like, you know, but these guys of today, they can't throw more than 20 punches in a round.
I know, man.
That's why I laugh like when Fury fought Usyk the first fight, and Usyk had him teetering from pillar to post, because it's like Usyk is basically an in-shape heavyweight, 6'3", 220 pounds, 220 plus pounds. Fury's a lardo, man. Dude looked like a big old bar of soap with some trunks on. He's like, what are you doing?
I don't know, but he looked so goofy falling around that ring.
And why the ref didn't just call it a freaking knockdown to save my life, man? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But see, that's another thing of giving guys these type of provisions that didn't earn them. That guy got more lives than a damn cat, man. He's like, when he's down, they don't want him to be down. Oh, he slipped or something. It's like, come on, man, this is ridiculous. And we see it all the time with certain individuals.
Yeah.
You know?
We probably gonna continue to see it until people start, getting on the same page. But man, you absolutely right about that.
I wanted to ask you about this because I hadn't got a chance to talk to you about it. What did you think of Ben and Eubank Jr.'s fight? Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
What did you think of the fight?
I really wasn't interested in that fight. I just thought there was no way that Ben could win. But it was interesting because I wanted to see. I was interested because I wanted to see what Christopher would do to fight back. Just like his dad, Eubank Sr. alluded to, that this is dangerous. Losing all that weight and having to rehydrate claws.
Yeah.
That is dangerous, and I wanted to see how he was going to deal with it. And it was remarkable, man. From a fighting standpoint, it just let me know that Conor Ben was really on steroids. It didn't look halfway for the second fight after being on steroids. Didn't look halfway as he did against Chris Algieri. If he had that type of thundering power like you saw when he first started fighting in the U.S., he would have knocked out Christopher Eubanks Jr.
Yeah.
He would have knocked him out, because Eubanks Jr. literally fought at least 4 rounds with nothing left to give.
Right.
He couldn't knock him down or knock him out. So it lets me know that the clomiphene definitely helped him out a tremendous of a time. And I feel like Chris Eubanks won a lot of rounds based off experience, keeping him at bay. He was able to touch him whenever he wanted to touch him. Yeah, he was going to the body, but it wasn't doing anything. He didn't have nothing on it.
Yeah. I thought that it was a very action-packed fight that, action-wise and everything. I allowed myself, and probably because they're guys from the UK, I allowed myself just to enjoy it from the standpoint of just watching some boxing. Right. It was very entertaining. It was like a little bit of ebb and flow to the battle.
I like it, man. I wasn't
doing no more.
I wasn't man, I just wasn't enthused with that fight, man. I just that was something that Eddie wanted to do.
Yeah, for some reason he was hell bent on making that happen.
That's something that he wanted to do. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. It wasn't for me. It was just another fight to me, man. I didn't like it. You know, it was entertaining. It was good to see the father and son reunite. You know, it was good to see that, especially because those two been at different terms.
Yeah.
Thought that was good, but for us the fighting part, man, Eddie not Eddie, but I never thought Conor Ben was good. That's the thing. I never thought he was good.
I don't think anybody ever really thought he was good. They just know that he's his dad's son. It's just like, I don't think anybody ever thought
So
he was good,
that's what I thought of it, man. I ain't think too much of it. It's just a fight, man.
Yeah. There's a potential fight on the horizon where it's looking like Benavidez and Callum Smith might cross paths. What do you think about that at light heavyweight?
I think Callum Smith is over the hill.
You think he's done?
Yeah, I think he's over the hill. He has had some good performances lately, but I think he's over the hill now.
But let me ask you this, and I'm not disagreeing, but I find it interesting that you say that, because his last fight against Joshua Buatsi, what that would indicate is that Buatsi is really horrible.
I never thought he was good. I never thought Buatsi was good. But it's just certain UK fighters that the UK portray and make look good because of Eddie, or certain individuals that they hang out with, fight out of that camp. That's what they do over there,
Yeah.
But they have the wrong person that they want to give the torch to carrying it. The right person should be Daniel Dubois, and they should be behind him 1,000%.
I swear they should, man. It's like,
I
I can't understand well, I do know why. We've talked about it kind of behind the scenes, It's that whole thing about, that dark man. But it's like, whatever. But they're going to look up one day and they're going to find out that this was probably their best heavyweight since, what's his name? Cooper. Not Lennox, Cooper, Henry Cooper. Because, Lennox, he did step out on them and became Canadian on their ass. But homegrown, definitely Daniel is one. And if he's able to get beyond Usyk to become undisputed, because that's what their matchup will be.
When is that fight?
It's supposed to be in July.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I don't think he win that fight though.
You don't think he beats Usyk?
Nah.
Well, you don't have to worry about all them hundreds of thousands of polls looking at him, because they're gonna be in Wembley. I think they're either fighting in Wembley or the O2.
Why they got the fight over there,
That I don't know. I think it's going to be another one of those Riyadh events that Turkey is putting in the UK.
Man. Daniel Dubois, he signed to what's his name? Yeah, you're right. Because he signed
Queensberry.
Yeah, you're right. So it is gonna be over there. Okay, that makes sense now. Because I was about to say he did Eddie a favor. He did Eddie a favor this past week, but I doubt if he do it again.
Yeah.
He did Eddie a favor with the Conor Ben fight. He did him a favor.
Right. So what else? If there's any other subject that you would like to,
Well, we do got the fights this weekend. I'm not sure if you wanted to touch
yeah,
on.
yeah, absolutely. We could talk about that. I've done all my premieres this week. It's funny because I basically did everything on Sunday and uploaded them for each day this week. So it's like I got like all this free time. So I'm just uploading videos to my other channel now. I got my Kung Fu channel up. So
Oh, yeah?
my second channel. So I've been uploading content over there. But yeah, I want to see these fights this weekend. I really do. And don't forget, we got Fabio Wardley taking on Justice Hooney in the UK, that heavyweight matchup. Now, it was originally supposed to be Big Baby Miller.
Yeah. Do you know why Big Baby Miller pulled out?
I don't. And I didn't research it. I think they said something about some type of an injury, but you know, with him, it's hard to tell. It might be something he done did again. I don't know. You know? But I do know that whatever, man. It's like these guys. But this kid Hooney, he was supposed to be someone that they were gearing up for a tumor.
Really?
So yeah, because he's from Australia, right? And they offered him the fight and he accepted it. He's got some fast hands, but I'm gonna tell you something. I watched his fight because he fought that guy Lorena.
Yeah.
And Lorena was tagging him, but he won a UD against Lorena, Kevin Lorena. So I'm like, okay, now Wardley punches sharper, possibly harder, and has a different fighting spirit than Lorena. I'm thinking that he's going to get Hooney out of there. But they're trying to sell it as a more even fight. I don't know where they come up with this. But you know what? Wardley is another fighter from the UK that they don't respect. It's like because they call him, their word for it, Tay, is a white-collar fighter. That's a fighter that really doesn't have any amateur experience or anything. Right. So that's what they refer to him as. But as you looked at how he's fought, man, he kicking everybody's butt over there. Big Fraze Clark, that kid David Adelaide, you know, he's just beating these guys up, and they're supposed to be more pedigreed than he. You know what I'm saying? And he been going through those guys like a hot knife through butter.
Right. I haven't really seen too much of Wardley. I haven't seen too much of him. I recently just saw the Hooney fight. And it looked like he almost got knocked out. And I seen Shawar say the same thing as well.
Yeah.
I did see that. But I don't know too much about Wardley.
Yeah, so that's over. That'll be earlier in the day, Saturday, and then of course in the evening we got the ESPN, the DB3. The brothers are coming out, man.
That's gonna be an interesting fight, man.
Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting because I don't know. Was Artinian left a southpaw when he fought Arthur Martinian? I can't remember. I don't know if I ever seen him fight a southpaw.
Let's see here.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever seen him fight a southpaw.
Let's see here.
But I'm actually looking forward to seeing Abdullah Mason. He's a co-main event.
Dude, yeah, he's taking on Nakatia, bro.
Yeah. And I think people want, I believe a lot of people want to see that fight because they know Nakatia has some power. And of course, you know, you've seen Abdullah Mason knocked down. Not his last fight, but the previous fight before that.
Right.
knocked down. But I actually think that was a learning curve. But then again, if you actually go back and look at those two knockdowns, he actually did nothing wrong. It's just that his opponent did everything right.
Yeah.
His opponent did everything right. You have to give the opponent more credit for knocking him down than him being knocked down, or he can't take any punches on the chin. That was a perfectly, both hooks was thrown perfectly, textbook.
And the most important thing was
up.
And the most important thing is how Mason handled the knockdowns.
Yes.
As if they didn't happen. He just went right back to work. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I mean, if you got your hand up and the punch still not get through, but glaze off your forearm and still touch you, that's textbook. That's a textbook shot.
Yeah.
You know?
I like this kid, man. I really do. And I believe that this fight will assist with him catapulting ahead to becoming a contender, because Nakatila had a title shot or two, and you know, he's the type of fighter that if you can beat him, you're a world-class fighter. So it's like, you know, that's going to be interesting how he fares. 21 years of age, but
personally, man, I think he stops Nakatila faster than Raymond Muay Thai did.
Possibly, man.
I really do.
And Muay Thai, you know what, he appears to me to be a front runner, bro.
What you mean?
Front runner meaning, like, if he's like the guy that, you know, they bring opponents in for him and he's the favorite guy, he does well in that position. But I look at when he fought Farmer, you know, and how he performed against Farmer. What's his name? Robert Garcia was, you know, riding him like a jockey, trying to get him to open up against Farmer, because, you know, he's supposed to be a puncher and this and that. And he seemed reticent to do so. I think that he's like a guy that when he knows that, you know, he's out front, he can shine like that. But if it's any question, because that Abdullayev fight, man, he won a decision, a UD, but he didn't look all that great to me.
Yeah, that's true. He didn't look good to me. Well, I ain't gonna say that good, but he didn't look all that great either.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that.
This is what I want to say about fighters like him and others that we had discussed earlier in our conversation. It's like, if you're unwilling to take the risks, then I can't give you that 100% credit. You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean you do it for me. You're doing it for yourself, because you're trying to make a statement. It's just like a guy, you know, that's going into a fight that's close, and it's the last round or so. At some point, somebody has to try to create a point of separation between they and the other guy. It's like you got to do something to show I came to win. You know, I'm here for that. And that's something that we don't see from these guys of today either.
Right.
They'll go to the scorecards and they looking around after a decision and they'd be like, man, that's bull. I got robbed and this and that. It's like, well, dude, you had a chance. You had the fight in the balance in your hands. Try to do something. That doesn't mean go for broke and try to knock a guy out and get reckless and get hurt yourself. But it means, like, you have to be assertive enough to say, this is my round. I got this, you know, something. And some of these guys, they just kind of like, they don't have that.
Right. No,
They don't.
I agree. I agree. Well, we surely gonna fight. Now, another good fight on that card is Tiger Johnson versus Janelson Bobachica.
Man, that's a good fight. No, you know why? Because Tiger's last fight, he showed that he possibly should have been at welterweight a while ago.
Long time ago, right?
He looked damn good, and he looked powerful, man.
He did.
He looked powerful, and I'm excited to see him again. So he's fighting Bocachu on that. That's on that card.
Yep, Bobachica.
Woo! I did not know that, bro.
Yep. Because I actually just found out the other day. What's today? Tuesday. So Sunday night I spoke to Coach Prentice, which is his coach, his trainer, and we were just chit chatting. And I was like, man, when the next time, Tiger? He said, oh, we fighting this weekend. I was like, who y'all fighting? He was like, we fighting Bobachica. I said,
but he's on this ESPN card.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the box record. He's not even listed on here.
They fighting this weekend.
Oh man. They got from main event down, they got Keyshawn, they got Kelvin, they got Abdullah, they got this kid Yuri Cedino, Delonte. Is that Tiger Johnson?
Yeah, Delonte. Yeah, that's his name.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, he's on there. He's on there. Damn, that's a good fight, bro.
I know.
Shit, that could be damn near a main event right there.
I know, man. So I'm interested in this card right here. Very interested.
Holy smokes, man! Thank you for telling me, Tay, because I would have missed that, not knowing going in, because I still got time. I could do a breakdown video on that.
Which card is on this card too? Troy Isley.
Yeah, Troy Isley is listed right under them. I don't know this guy he's fighting though.
Troy Isley called out Carlos Adames today too.
Did he?
I think that's a good fight.
Or he and Adames?
Yeah, I think that's a good fight.
That's okay. This kid he's fighting it, Tude Michelle William. He's from Brazil, 16-1, 32 years of age with 12 KOs. I don't know this guy. He's been fighting a lot of Spanish dudes.
You know how they go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a deeper dive tomorrow and pull some stuff out, and do videos about it. So, but I got my eyes on this card right here. I really do.
Yeah, Bocachica there. Tiger gonna get in there with him. They too tall welterweights too, 5'11" and 5'10".
Yeah.
71 and 72-inch reach.
Yep. Except for Bobachica, he lost his last
3. And that the Brian Norman Jr. fight is a no contest.
Yeah. He said Justin Pardo fights this weekend. Yeah, he do.
I want Tiger to come out okay, man. I like that kid, bro.
Yeah, me too. I like Tiger, man. I like Tiger, I really do. He's grown a lot, and then again, he should have went to welterweight.
Absolutely, but you could see it in his performance. His last
be hurting.
Yeah, you could see it in his performance in his last fight. It was like, oh, he looked so much stronger, right? He looked like, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, he did. He said they're going for the stoppage. I'm like, hey, slow your roll, big dog, because this guy over here can punch too now. Yeah, I understand he looked good his last fight, but hey man, slow it down a little bit now.
See, that's good stuff, man. It's like, see, that's what when we get, because I'm kind of like you in that sense too. It's just that you know more of the guys than I do, as far as the young guys coming up and coming on. I like that, man, because to see that new crop. But I have been singing this since the last, I want to say since late 2023. I have been saying this old guard is about to get pushed to the side, and this new crop of fighters that's coming along, they built a little bit different than these guys that's of the Tiafimo and the Tanks and all of the Shakurs, all of this era. These younger guys that's coming up,
fight each other.
Huh?
They want to fight each other.
Yeah, and that culture is kind of moving along, because you have eras, you have stages that the sport goes through, and I think we're seeing that transition. Guys like Abdullah Mason and Raymond Ford and these guys, they want to fight, man.
Yeah,
it's like, let them get out there and do their thing and get these other guys out of the way.
Yeah, I agree.
That's like Tank talking about he about ready to retire. Dude, ain't nobody gonna miss you. You don't want to fight the people that people want to see you fight, and that's on you. It's like people want to see whether you win or lose or whatever. They just want to see it, to be honest, because you're gonna always have your supporters. You're gonna always have your detractors, but at the end of the day, people will appreciate you for getting in the ring with your contemporaries.
Yeah, for sure.
Even some of your haters will love the fact that you did it, and then you might even convert some of them on your side by being like, wow, I didn't know he was like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's what that like my favorite fighter was Evander Holyfield. I knew Evander was a son of a gun when he was in the cruiserweight division and he was cleaning people up.
Right.
But Holyfield, after he moved to heavyweight, never got the respect until he lost his first fight against Riddick Bowe.
Right.
That fight against Riddick Bowe, he got knocked down. He was banged from pillar to post in that 11th round or whatever, but it was such a battle, and he was the smaller guy against a younger guy and everything. But after that fight, people started calling him a warrior, and then he started wearing warrior on his trunks,
Right.
But it was like he garnered the respect of the people, because it was like, shit, Holyfield is a fighter, man. It's like, because Bowe was trying to knock him out, and he was fighting back, And the thing was, they didn't know he had that in him. But I know he had it in him because I had been watching him the whole time. It's just that some people, you gotta do something to prove it to them, because they don't see what we see,
Right, exactly.
And Holyfield had that kind of fight against Bowe.
Right.
And then he would have these battles where somebody looked like they're about to get him, and then he would come back. Like, I remember his fight with Michael Dokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dokes had them fast hands and everything. He kept hitting Holyfield below the belt, and Holyfield started tagging him, man. When he stopped Dokes, I was like, oh, he ready now. He truly a heavyweight now.
Right.
So I just, and he will always rise. He had these moments in his fights where he say, I'm going to see if they want it as much as I do, and he'd be going after people. You remember that? I think it was like a 21 punch combination he threw on George Foreman in the 7th round of their fight. He started out, he was in close with Foreman. He threw a couple of left hooks to the body, boom, then threw one to the head. Then he just followed up with the right and the left. And the right. He was like, George was like,
you couldn't do nothing. Yeah, I know it.
He opened up.
Yeah.
That's what he would do.
Holyfield, I grew up with his son, Junior.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, this is my stepdad, but that's the dad that I call dad. But his little brother, the second son, Ewan, played on my dad's team with my brother. So as little kids, we would always go over to their home, the mansion. You know, we always go over there when he had the pool that looked like the belt and things of that nature. And even still, even like now, I talked to Evan, which is one of his. And matter of fact, I think Evan is the second youngest. Of course, he's fighting. He had to take some time off, but he's back now. And still to this day, he still remember us, man. So Holyfield was always one of those guys. You know me, I was the nosy one when I was younger. So every time, you know, he would fight, or especially after he got his ear bit, I would always go look at his ear. You know, I'm young, man. I didn't know no better. You know, I want to see. You know, so I will always go look at their ear bite.
Yeah, man. Man, that guy. But like I said, you know, he was my favorite fighter, but not because of what people like know him from. Because I was watching him before he became, you know, that the reputed guy he became. It's like I just saw. I've always had a knack for looking at certain fighters, you know, and when I saw him, I was like, that's, and you know how, and I talk with Scrapbook all the time, and when Kurt, God bless his soul, was around and we were doing the Three Wise Men, Kurt's favorite fighter was Sugar Ray Robinson, Scrapbook's favorite fighter is Henry Armstrong, and mine was Evander Holyfield.
Right.
We were having this conversation one day talking about our favorite fighters and why we like them. And I explained to them, I said, you know what, guys? I said, Holyfield is like another fighter that everybody knows. The only difference is he's not a southpaw and he doesn't switch, but he's the same guy. If you look at how he fights, if you look at, and they were like, who? I said, Marvin Hagler. And they looked at me and they were like, damn, Stormy, you on to something there. I said, yeah. I said, Evander Holyfield is like a light heavyweight, cruiserweight Marvin Hagler. He's got good hand speed, decent defense. He can box, but he will fight. And usually when he gets into a fight, he always seems to have a reservoir of something that the other guy don't have, and he prevails. And he got a granite chin, just like Marvin Hagler. And they were like, you know what? We never heard nobody compare those two guys. I said, yeah, that's what I see. And it's only respect because Marvin stayed at middleweight his whole career.
Right.
He was offered opportunities to move up to light heavyweight to fight the likes of what's his name, Matthew Masad Muhammad or Michael Spinks and those guys. But Hagler said, no, I'm a middleweight. I'm staying down here. And the funny thing is that Marvin often fought under the middleweight limit to the degree that he could fight almost at junior middleweight because sometimes he'd be like 156, 158, 157. You know, he would come in light for middleweight.
Right.
But that man was tough as nails, and so was Evander Holyfield.
Oh, absolutely. That's why he's called the Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
he was something, man. But you know what? You know, a fight between Vander and Roy Jones was initially supposed to take place.
Yeah, I had heard about that.
That would have been a fight, man.
Yeah. I heard that Evander said he didn't want to fight Roy because he was too fast. He said he didn't think he might be able to catch him.
Hey.
But yeah.
That would have been a good fight, man.
Even the fight early on that they were proposing with Mike Tyson and Roy, remember? There was a early point in time when they were talking about that fight. But you know what heavyweight fight that was never made that I would have loved to see? And I know it would have been a war. It would have. They were talking about it when he was at cruiserweight, but it never manifested. Burt Cooper and Mike Tyson.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Could you imagine that one, man? Oh my goodness.
Fight. That definitely would have been a good fight. I'm with you 1,000%.
Yeah, buddy, man. And they were this close to fighting. I think when Burt Cooper lost to Carl the Truth Williams, that's what took him out of the running for that fight. Because you know, Carl the Truth Williams ended up fighting Mike Tyson a couple fights later. But but there was a point in time where Burt Cooper had came up from cruiserweight. He was at heavyweight.
Right.
And they were talking about him being an opponent for Tyson. That would have been a hell of a fight, bro. Damn, I wish we could have got that one.
Man, Burt Cooper was different, man.
He was.
He was different. I like Burt Cooper, man.
And he had certain nights that he came to really fight. You know what I mean? Like, I remember his fight against Ray Mercer. It was on a Saturday afternoon, CBS Sports TV. And the funny thing about the broadcast was Tim Ryan and Gil Clancy, who called the fights, they were on the air because there was another sporting event on. So they went to the fight, but there was no audio for like the first portion of the broadcast, like up into the first round or something like that. Okay. They were talking and stuff, but it was no audio because this other event was playing. But man, Ray Mercer knocked Burt Cooper down early. And Burt Cooper got up, and it was on and popping after that, bro. They were going. When they finished that fight, Ray Mercer's jaw was like out to here.
Man, you know, he recently just visited our gym.
Yeah.
About let's say like 7 months ago.
And
I'm glad I met him, man.
Yeah.
Because he was talking about the old school style and, you know, just some of the theatrics, you know, for his hand placement and stuff like that. Just showing me a lot of little tricks.
I'm going to tell you where he went to school. You talking about Ray Mercer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to tell you where he went to school.
Okay.
His loss to Larry Holmes. Because he took the fight, you know, he had demolished Tommy Morrison, right?
Okay.
But he took the fight against Larry Holmes because of the money. He was the WBO champion. And during the fight, Holmes was pumping that jab on him. And at first, the first couple of rounds, he was like really swinging at Holmes, trying to get at him and stuff like that. But Holmes's experience was keeping him at bay. You know, he was on. And Larry beat him. Larry Holmes beat Ray Mercer. And he was embarrassed behind it. There was one point where Larry had went to the corner near the camera and said, "Watch this. I ain't Tommy Morrison." And fat, he was hitting Ray fat with them right hands and jab, and Ray was coming up, you know, he was like beating Ray's ass, bro. And it was like Larry was really feeling himself that night, and he whooped Ray Mercer. Ray Mercer took some time off. Yeah, he took some time off after that fight. But when he came back, he was using a jab like Larry Holmes. Ray Mercer was. It was like he must have went home and studied the film or whatever, because he got taken to school that night by that guy. I think Larry was 40, 41 or something when they fought.
Right.
But the whole point of it was that Ray, he took it for granted. He thought, I'm going to whoop this old guy, you know? No, man, Larry Holmes came out there on that night and turned back the clock on his ass.
I gotta go watch. I'm gonna watch when I get off of here.
Yeah, man. Watch
the Witch Color fight first. I'm gonna watch the Khalil Kofart fight first. I'm actually gonna turn on the big screen over here.
Yeah, but you know, that was a great experience because Ray developed a jab after that. He started using his jab and he started beating people with that left hand, man. And he had a damn good jab. I was pissed off at him when he took the Lennox Lewis fight and didn't come in proper shape. He came in against Lewis. His weight was in the 230s, the high 230s, and I felt like he should have been at least 230 or a little bit under 225 or something like that, because when he was like between 220 and 230, he was faster. His stamina was good and everything. And I just think that he was not in the best of shape against Lennox, and he lost a split decision. Think about if he had been in proper shape against Lennox, he could have beat Lennox. And do you know that those were the two heavyweights from the 88 Olympics, bro? He won the gold medal at heavyweight, and Lennox won it at super heavy against Bo.
What year that was?
88.
The
same Olympics Roy Jones was in. It was Riddick Bowe, Anthony Hembrick, Roy Jones, all them guys, man. The 88 Olympics.
Right.
Jones told this story about Lennox visiting their locker room. They were all in there getting dressed and everything. And, you know, he was representing Canada, right? So he ducked his head in the locker room. He was like, hey, who's Big Daddy Bo? And everybody turned, that's Big Daddy over there, pointing to Riddick, you know. And he was like, you? He's like, I'm fucking you up. And he walked out the deal.
Man.
Said,
Bo was different, man.
He told Bo that, man. It's like, you know, and the rest was history. That's the only heavyweight fight of the 90s that we didn't get that I wish we would have got, because whoever won between those two would have been the heavyweight of that era.
Right. And it never manifested.
And Holyfield gets on Bo's ass to this day about that. He was like, Bo, you messed up everything. He's like, you dropped the belt and didn't fight that man. He was like, because you were scared. That's what Holyfield told Bo. You know, because the two of them, they go back and forth all the time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When Holyfield told him, he was like, you messed up the whole thing. Because even when Holyfield beat Bo in the rematch, when Emmanuel was training him, Holyfield was ticked off because he only won back 2 belts, the WBA and the IBF. Because back then it was 3 titles, the WBC also, and Bo had thrown the WBC in the trash, remember? And then they awarded it to Lennox. So Holyfield won the belt back, but he didn't become 2-time undisputed because Bo had thrown the damn belt away. And so Holyfield was mad at Bo. He was like, you threw my damn belt away, Bo.
I remember being a kid watching that fight.
Yeah, man.
The Holyfield and Lennox fight.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you something. The first fight with Lennox and Holyfield, you know, because Holyfield had 2 belts and Lennox had 1.
Right.
And it was the big showdown between those two. And Holyfield started talking stuff, which something he never really did. But he was like, I'm going to knock Lennox out in 5 rounds. And Lennox was like, he's crazy. Talking about he's going to knock me out in 5 rounds. He was like, he's predicting rounds now. He's like, he never predicted rounds before. You know how Lennox talk all proper and everything.
Right.
And, but this was the funny part. When they fought and the 5th round came, Lennox was so damn defensive, man. He was covering up and everything. He did not want Holyfield to knock his ass out. And Holyfield came out trying to knock him out. It was the most funny thing.
Yeah.
Huh?
So I remember that fight.
Yeah. And it was like, Lennox was like, what? And when you hear him talk about it in the aftermath, he was like, I don't care what nobody say. He was not going to knock me out in no 5th round.
Is it because he sure enough was trying?
Yeah, he was trying.
Yeah.
And then Holyfield had said and revealed after the 5th round, when I didn't knock him out, he said, I wanted to quit. And they was like, you wanted to quit? He was like, yeah, because I was embarrassed. I couldn't knock him out. And I talked all this stuff and I couldn't knock him out. He was like, if you look at me, when I walked back to the corner, I let down a big sigh like, you know, and he said he walked back to the corner. He wanted to quit. They said, well, what kept you from quitting? He said, I look out in the audience and I saw my son sitting over there. He said I couldn't quit.
Yeah.
You know, being able to reflect on this stuff is so funny, man, because I remember all of that stuff, you know.
Right. Right.
It's like still fresh with me. But yeah, Lennox was not gonna let nobody knock him out in that 5th round. He was so defensive. He was protecting the hell out of himself.
I would have been too.
But this is the part that I didn't like about that fight. 2 things. Lennox came out, you know, Emmanuel was training him by this time.
Right.
So Emmanuel knew all of Holyfield's weaknesses and everything. So that was like a cheat code for Lennox, right?
Right.
But it was this other thing, Tay. And I'm gonna mention this to you. You might have heard me say it before in the past. If you didn't, because I have talked about this a couple of times on my channel. Upon the ring walk to the ring, I looked at Lennox and I was like, I can't believe they letting this guy come to the ring like this. Lennox had on a damn trainer's cup. You know them big protective cups that protect your ribs?
Yeah.
When you in the gym? They
Right.
let him wear one of those. The cup came up to here, right under his chest plate, and his trunks was full. Dude, I was like, one or 2 things. Either Lennox got some bruised ribs going into this fight, or they wanted to eliminate Evander's body punching, because Evander was a good body puncher.
He was.
But it was like I couldn't believe that they let me hold on. I'm gonna see if I can pull this up.
I remember.
The cup was high as hell, and they let them come to the ring like that. I have never seen a fighter come to the ring with a cup like that on. We had them in the gym. Those big protective cups. They come all the way up over your abdomen.
Right.
That's what Lennox came to the ring with on that night. And when they fought the rematch, he had a regular cup on.
Yeah, he had to have them bruised ribs.
Dude, it was like nobody said anything. I'm
day.
sitting there watching the damn pay-per-view broadcast, and I'm like, ain't nobody gonna say nothing about this shit.
No. Crazy. No, you know they're not.
They got away with that. You know what? People interview guys all the time and this and that. If I ever had a chance to talk to Lennox, that's what I would ask him. Lennox, what the hell was that? Because he sure enough got away with one that night, Tay.
Right. No. Yeah, I do remember. I remember very vividly. I do remember that fight.
It was red. He had on red trunks. Mm-hmm. He had that big ass red cup on under them trunks.
Yeah, I remember. That's crazy. I forgot about that. But it's funny you say that because I do remember that.
It's crazy. I'm like, man. And I had this picture I used to use as my avatar on the channel when I first started my YouTube channel. It was a picture of Lennox hitting Evander from that first fight with an uppercut. Right. And dude, how Evander took that punch, because the picture shows he get all the chin. His fist is right under Evander's chin, damn near in his throat. Lennox is throwing a right uppercut, and Evander taking all of it. I'm like, man, he never went down from that shit. And Lennox could punch, man.
But, you know, Holyfield had that neck, though.
Yeah. Yeah, that dude.
Yeah, that neck, man.
But that was a hell of an era. You know, I told people this, and I said it to someone else recently. Between the two of them, because remember I said a moment ago, whoever would have won between Lennox and heavyweight of the 90s.
Right.
They never faced each other. But the 2 heavyweight of the 90s was Evander and Lennox. And this is what I've come to the conclusion split. Why? Because for all of the other contenders and former champs, between the 2 of them, they fought everybody. And whomever didn't fight somebody, the other one did. Think about that for a moment, Tay. It's true. Whoever Evander didn't fight, Lennox. Whoever Lennox didn't fight, Evander fought. And in between all of that, they fought a couple of common opponents as well. They covered the heavyweights of the 90s, the two of them. That's amazing work, man. And it's much respect to the two of them. Because sometimes, you know, you'll have an era where, you know, one guy was on top or whatever, and he may have fought enough to say that you cleaned out the division but didn't fight every single guy. Well, between the two of those guys, they fought every single guy. I mean, Holyfield fought Tyson, Foreman, Mora, Mercer, Lennox, who else? A whole assortment. And Lennox fought Tyson. He fought Botha. He fought Mercer. He fought Oliver McCall. He fought Morrison. You know, it's like, you know, whomever. And Holyfield fought Bo too. And Lennox didn't fight Bo, but he fought Lennox fought Razor Ruddock. You know, and Holyfield didn't fight Razor Ruddock. So it's like, you see what I'm saying? It's like, between the two of them, they pretty much covered the division. What an exciting time, man. That was an era.
That's why I say I love that old school boxing, man, because that's all my coach talk about. My coach talk about old school boxing all the time. He's the one who got me interested in it. And that's all I look at.
Yeah.
That's all I look at.
Yeah. I mean, and the heavyweight fights were great, man. It's funny how history repeats itself, because if you go back to Foreman and Lyle, they call that the elevator fight, where both guys hit the canvas twice. Right. Well, that history repeated itself when Burt Cooper and Michael Moore fought. The two of them, you know, that was an elevator fight. They both hit the canvas twice. Even to the degree where Moore hit the canvas first, and it looked like it was going to be a first round stoppage when Moore went down. And fortunately, there was no Jack Reese's to stop the damn fight like he does. And Moore was able to get up and finish out the round. Then he dropped Burt Cooper.
Right.
Man, it was on and popping after that. Those two guys, they had a war. And Moore had a war with Alex Stewart. Man, George Foreman had a war with Alex Stewart. Alex Stewart, you know, he could punch. He had George Foreman's face looking like a Picasso painting when they finished, man. His face was all lumped up and sideways. George had these sunglasses on, you know, to do the post-fight interview. And his face was so lumped up, the glasses were sitting sideways on his head face, because he was so lumped up, man.
Right.
George was a tough man. He was a tough man.
Yeah.
Did you remember those scenes of him training for Holyfield where he was pulling a Jeep up his driveway?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember all that. Yeah. Had to get ready.
The man was pulling a Jeep up the driveway, man.
They trained different back in the days too, you know.
George was something else, man. And he was saying he was going to knock out Evander in 2 rounds. He was like, 2 rounds, and I'm going to be the new heavyweight champion of the world, and then I'm going to be taking Social Security checks at the same time. He said, boy, George was something else, man.
Yeah, he was.
And I saw the punch that he threw to try to knock Evander out in that second round. It was in a point, I think it was under a minute to go in the second round. He had double jabbed Evander with the left, and Evander went back into the ropes. But the second jab had hit Evander so hard that Evander went further back against the ropes than George had calculated. So when he threw the right hand, it just missed his chin. But George followed it with an uppercut that hit Evander on the side of the head, like this. Right. But it was the right hand that he put everything on, meaning to knock Evander out, but he missed it.
Right.
I remember in the aftermath, Evander talking about the fight. They were in the HBO studios like a week after the fight. Evander said, yeah, he tried to knock me out in that second round. He's like, but he hit me with that left uppercut. It immediately put a knot on my head, he said.
Right.
And he said at one time, I think it was after the 9th round or something, he came back to the corner and he asked Georgie Benton and Lou Duval, he was like, did he knock my teeth out? And they told him, no, sit down. And they was putting water and stuff. And he said, you know, your corner, sometimes you could be messed up, but they won't let you know. But he was like, I couldn't feel my mouth. He said, George had hit me in the mouth and I thought he had knocked my teeth out. He said, so I was asking, did he knock my teeth out? And they was like, no, you're good. And he's like, I thought they were lying to me.
Right. Damn. Damn.
You know how hard George had to hit for you to be thinking your shit is numb and you can't feel nothing?
Shit, I've been hit like that before.
Man. But see, I'm sitting here reminiscing, thinking of all of this stuff, man. I got it all in my data bank, bro. I could just remember all of this stuff, man.
Right.
But look here, Tay, I know it's getting late, bro. What I want to do is, I want to invite you. We can do this again, man. This was a lot of fun talking boxing with you, man. This is like, really great. And any final thoughts or words you got?
Yeah, man. Get ready for another week of boxing.
Yeah.
Another week, and I'm interested in these fights this week too.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'll be doing a post fight after the fights Saturday night. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. Looking forward. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait because this card I'm really interested in right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we'll get ready to wrap things up and wind it down. But I want to say thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, man. Thank you, because it actually made my day go by faster. So I'm ready to lay down and go to sleep now.
Yeah, me too. I gotta get up and go to work, but I'm glad to be able to get this content in and share with everybody. It was a good show because we just talk about the sport, man.
That's it.
The state of the game. That's it. So,
yes, sir.
All right, brother. So you take it easy, man, and we'll get ready to head on out of here. And I'll be talking with you, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll be back.
Yes, sir. Okay.
All right.
Peace, man.
Peace, brother.
Let's see here. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, man. This was a great show to be able to come out here and share, talk about the sport to you guys and exchange like we were able to do. Tay is a great guy, very knowledgeable about the sport, also a participant in the sport. So his position is to be respected. So, but I want to say, hold on 1 second. I see it. I want to say that it was a lot of fun with this. I want to take a quick moment and let us hear from our brother, the Focus Ball, for the Focus Ball items. Yes. Let's see here.
Get ready to take your striking game to the next level with the Focus Ball. Dramatically improved footwork, timing, head movement, hand-eye coordination, reflex, and overall fight IQ. It's lightweight and extremely portable, so you can train every time, everywhere. When you don't have a coach to do mitt work, get a Focus Ball. When you don't have a heavy bag to hit, get a Focus Ball. When you don't have a sparring partner, get yourself a Focus Ball. And when you just want to have fun punching and kicking, get a Focus Ball. When you train with the Focus Ball, you train your eyes and your brain to read punches so that you can hit and not get hit, making this very simple device a must-have for all combat sports athletes and enthusiasts alike. So if you want to take your striking game to the next level, don't wait. Get the Focus Ball now.
We offer the best grooming products for you, Yes, all natural and handcrafted too. We wanna help be your swagger, your style, class, and luxury. We make our products tailor-made for you with high quality. Yeah, so get in style with the black, yeah. Grooming company, to give you swagger, style, class, and luxury. In luxury, yeah. The black gentleman, yeah. Company, give you swagger, style, class, and luxury. In luxury, yeah.
Located at www.theblackgent.com.
Yeah. So I want to thank everybody that came out to check us out this evening. This has been another Stormybman Live, episode number 41, where we call it the State of the Game discussion with Tay Jones. I want to say shout out to the mighty LDBC, and I hope that everyone have a wonderful rest of the week. And as we approach these fights coming up this weekend, may they knock it out of the park with the entertainment of the sport of boxing. Peace to everybody. Have a good night.